now started recording. So very good afternoon. Astha Khandelwal, Abhigyan Gupta, Aditya. You please need not need please listen. Need not to say present, sir, because the names which I am listing over here, the names which I am announcing, it is assumed that they are in the class itself. That's why you are here as attendees. 23 people are there at present. Okay, so need not to say, because when I say the next name, your voice actually inferences that particular name while I am speaking it up. So don't say yes, sir. Okay. So Asta Khandelwal, Abhigyan Gupta, Aditya, Ankit, Arpan Mishra, Ashutosh Marshi, Ishpreet Singh Walia, Janvir Singh, Jamima, Kaushal Agarwal, Naveen Chandlani, Navya Singh, Neha Singh Rathore, Priyam, Pranchi, Sambhav Garg, Sanya, Sarvanch, Saurabh Yadav, Shara Khan, Shreya Dharan, Vanchika, Vatsal Rastogi, and Yashvardhan Tiwari. So these are present at the start of the class. So let us just start the class as such. So today we will be studying about the types of companies. Okay, so types of companies, according to section 220 of the Companies Act 2013, a company is a company formed under the Companies Act 2013 or any of the previous acts relating to the companies. A company may be defined as an incorporated association, which is an artificial person having a separate legal entity with a perpetual succession, a common seal, a common capital promised for transferable of shares, and limited liability. So it has been defined as such. It is an incorporated association. Now there are various types of companies, various kinds of companies. So companies can be classified on the basis of incorporation, can be classified on the basis of liability, it can be classified on the basis of control, and transferability of shares. So these are the classification of the company. So on the basis of incorporation, the company can be called as a Royal Charter Company or a statutory company and a registered company. We will be going in details of each and everything just after this chart. So a company which is also limited by guarantee, limited by shares, and an unlimited company when it calls for the on the basis of liability. On the basis of control, a company can either be a holding company or it can be a subsidiary company. So from the point of view of transferability of shares, a company can be either a private company or a public company. Now there are other types of companies also, like dormant company, one-person company, small company. These all we will be considering afterwards, after we will be discussing this. So here let us see the company on the basis of incorporation. So there are three companies on the basis of incorporation. Royal Chartered Company these are the companies formed under the Royal Charter of a company or by a special order of a king or queen. For example, East India Company was there, formed by the Royal Charter and the Royal Charter of Great Britain. Such as a company derives its nature on the basis of the charter under which they are formed. So means these companies are formed by the Royal Charter. Royal Charter means from the king or from the queen. So such companies in India are not there at all, because we never had this Royal Charter type of thing. And even when we had this Royal Charter type of things, the existence of companies as such was not there at all. So next is your statutory company. So it is incorporated by a special act passed either by the central or the state legislature. So company intends to carry on some business of national importance are formed in this way to provide a service to its citizens. For example, Reserve Bank of India, it is formed under the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. The ICICI, not ICICI Bank. ICICI was Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India. It was also formed under the Act of the Parliament. In the same way, IDBI was also formed under the Act of the Parliament. So these all are the statutory companies. For the recent example, or you can say the most important example, is Life Insurance Corporation of India Limited. So LIC itself is has been formed by the Act of the Parliament only. So their companies, the companies which have been you can say formed by the Act of the Parliament. So such companies are also there, and these companies are called statutory companies because a separate statute has been prepared and passed in the parliament or in the legislative assembly for existence of such company. Okay, next is a registered company. A company registered under Companies Act 2013 or any other existing act or any other previous act will be called a registered company. So the government has formed one act which is called Companies Act, under which there is a provision to register your company. So most of the companies which are for profit you will find as a registered companies. Now, on the basis of the liability of the companies are of three types. First is a company limited by shares. If we talk about a company, by default, it is assumed that the company will be limited by shares. So it is a company in which the liability of the members, that is the shareholders, are limited. They are only liable for the unpaid value of the shares held by the members. The unpaid amount can be called upon any time during the lifetime or the winding up of the company. If the shares of a company are fully paid up, then this liability will be nil, or there will be no liability. It means that you cannot call upon the people to just contribute unlimitedly. So when we talk about company, the companies are of, and further we are going to see there will be limited, unlimited, and companies also, right? So that is what we will be studying. So here, if the company, even if it is a limited, then to what extent it is limited? So it can be limited only to the extent of the unpaid share capital if the company is limited by shares. So and the same way, the company limited by guarantee. In such a company, the company of the shareholders is limited up to the amount guaranteed or invested by the shareholders after towards the assets of the company in event of its wound up. So here the shareholders I have intentionally used, otherwise it will be a member, because a shareholder I have used in the first definition also. So here also shareholders are being used. Actually, this is actually related to members, because there will be no share at all in this company. So you might be wondering how this company will work, what will happen. So these companies are normally those companies which are which actually work for not for profit. So they keep on getting the funds from the subscription, or you can say from the other sources of funds. They can collect the money with all these sources. But these companies, but in case of what will happen if these companies, because companies having a separate legal entity, the company may enter into the contract with someone else. And what will happen if the company is not at all able to execute its contract? So these people, those who have joined here or those who have subscribed as the members of this company, will contribute to the extent of the guarantee given by them. Okay, I will contribute to the extent of 1 lakh. So nobody can force me to contract more than 1 lakh, because my guarantee is rupees 1 lakh only. So still there will be a liability of in this case is also limited, but not by the shares, by the guarantee given by that person, that in case of winding up of the company, if the assets will fall short, I give guarantee to make good the loss up to the extent of rupees 1 lakh, suppose. So nobody else can ask him to just contribute more than 1 lakh in the case of winding up of a company. Okay, next is unlimited companies. So unlimited companies have no limit on the liability of the shareholders as an unlimited company. Previously, I think someone in your class asked me, I think Astha asked or someone asked that, sir, can you give an example of unlimited company? Actually, unlimited company is not formed as an unlimited company as such. The company becomes unlimited by the operation of the law, because sometimes the circumstances are like that they might have done some lifting and piercing of corporate veil might have done, or some they have proved to be fraudulent to something, or they have issued the shares which they are not authorized to, or they have done some certain act which is ultra virus the memorandum of association. So these all acts will make the company liable unlimited. So in that case, the company's liability means the liability of its members will become unlimited. It means even if they have invested certain good amount in the company, they will be held responsible for the remaining amount also. Okay, so that will be the called unlimited company. The liability of the members of the company will be unlimited. It will be like a partnership, and uh, anyone can sue anyone and can be recovered. Now, on the basis of control, there are two types of companies: holding company and subsidiary company. Holding company, as the name suggests, holds the shares in the subsidiary company, and subsidiary company, as the name shares, actually provides its shares to holding company. Means you can say holding company purchases some certain shares in the subsidiary company in such a way that it acquires the management and control of subsidiary company. So where one company controls the management of other, the former, that is the holding company, former is the holding company, and the latter over which the control is exercised is called a subsidiary company. For example, X Limited is having control on Y Limited. In this case, X Limited will be the holding company and Y Limited will be the subsidiary company. Okay, so and one thing is this, another thing, a company shall be deemed to be. Now, when one company will be deemed to be a subsidiary of another company. So when when one company controls the composition of board of directors, see, one or the other way, the holding and subsidiary concept is that if a company is able to influence the decision making power of another company, then it will be said that the company is having a control over other. So a person, a company which is controlling other will be called subsidiary company, and the company which is being controlled is the company which is establishing its control on other is called holding company, and the company which is being controlled is called subsidiary company. So controls of and how this control can be established, either the company is having some of its directors in the board of directors of subsidiary company also. So it holds more than half of the nominal value of equity shares. So when equity shares are being held, all the operations of the subsidiary company will be held by the holding company. And if it is a subsidiary of another company, which is another company's subsidiary, for example, A is subsidiary of B and B is subsidiary of C. So ultimately, C will also be called as a subsidiary of A. So A is holding B and B is holding C. So it means A is holding C also. So in that case, also it can establish or it can control the decision making power of the other company. Last point is, if it holds more than 50% of the voting rights, sometimes shares are not there. If there are shares, so shares actually establish the voting power also. But if they are not if the shares are not there, in that case, in one or the other way, if it is holding at least 50% of the voting powers of the another company, it will be called a holding company and another will be called a subsidiary company. So next is on the basis of transferability of shares. A private company has been defined under section 268 of Companies Act 2013. A private company means a company which has a minimum paid up share capital of rupees 1 lakh and which provides the following restriction through its articles of association and memorandum. Number one restriction is that it restricts the transfer of shares by its members. Means the members can transfer the shares amongst themselves, but not to anyone who is outside the company. So another thing is the company limits the maximum number up to 200. Okay, so this is not 50, actually it's not editable. Please read it as 200. So it will be having a share capital or the maximum number of members in a private limited company can be 200. Please remember, it was 50 before, now it has become 200. Okay, and it prohibits any invitation or acceptance of the public deposits. So otherwise what will happen? This will become a public company only. Private company means which is privately held. If you will start accepting or inviting deposit from the others, this members 50 will not remain 50, it will increase. And next is it prohibits the invitation public to for debentures also. So no public deposits, no debentures it can invite from the general public. So it enjoys a special privilege also. It can be it can be stated with only it can be started with only 2 members. So only minimum 2 members can be there in order to start a public private limited company. Next, it is also not required to prepare the prospectus, because why? Prospectus we will study further is a document which actually is prepared in order to raise the funds from the public. But it is a private company, so raising fund from the public there is no question at all. So accordingly, there will be no question of issuing prospectus or no question of preparing a prospectus. So what it will do? It will just file the statement in lieu of prospectus, okay, to the ROC for the purpose of incorporation, because this is also one of the document which is to be given to the registrar of companies. Next is your public company. The term public company has been defined under section 271. So this has been defined under section 268, okay, and public company has been defined under section 271 of the Companies Act 2003. A public company means a company which has a minimum paid up share capital of ₹5 lakh and which is not a private company. This is a very beautiful definition, that a company which is not a private company is a public company. Okay, so in order to understand what is a public company, you have to first understand what is a private company. And second thing, it must be having a paid up share capital of rupees, at least rupees 5 lakh. So this is the minimum paid up share capital which is required for a company to be a public limited company. So further, now, because it's a public limited company, there is no restriction on transferability of shares. So in case of private company, there is restriction on transferability, and in public company, there is no restriction on transferability of shares. Rather, more freely you can transfer the shares. So at least 7 members are required to form a public company. And further, there is no restriction on number of members. You can have unlimited number of members in a public limited company. You can even have all the entire population of the world as a members of a public limited company. Now, minimum directors which are required are 3. So it can have only 3 directors. Its names add with the word limited. And the name of a private company ends with the words PVT Ltd, private limited. Okay, so name must suggest that what type of company it is. So it can accept public deposit, it can invite the public for subscription, it can issue the shares and debentures to the general public also, it can do anything what it wants. Okay, anything means for the individual, it can also accept deposits, debentures also, shares also, preference shares, whatever it wants to accept, it can accept. Okay. There is further domestic company and the foreign company. On the basis of the place, you can see there are 2 more types of companies: domestic company and foreign company. Domestic company is a company which is registered in under the Companies Act 2013 in India. The head office of its business operations are conducted within the country India. It can either be a public or can be a private. So any company which is formed, registered in India, and it is having its head office in India will be called as domestic company, whereas foreign company is a company which is incorporated outside India, as the name suggests, which establishes its business operation within India under the Companies Act 2013. So within 30 days of its establishment, it has to furnish a important document to the registrar as per section 380. Yeah, any doubt to anyone?
Sir,
Yes,
domestic company can be a private company or the public company.
domestic company can be both, प्राइवेट कंपनी भी पब्लिक कंपनी भी, कोई भी, सारी कंपनीज डोमेस्टिक कंपनीज ने बेटा जो इंडिया में रजिस्टर्ड होती हैं वो सारी कंपनीज, ऑल द कंपनीज आर डोमेस्टिक कंपनीज.
So why there is a special classification for the domestic country?
Domestic country?
Dom company, not country, company.
It's just on the basis of classification. It is just like that okay, on the basis of a place you can have a domestic company and the foreign company. A foreign company is a company which is incorporated outside India. Now it may establish its business in India, but the main office, it can have an Indian subsidiary, right? Like this Renault has opened the Indian subsidiary. Okay, you can say Oppo and Vivo are also having plants in India. They are also having a subsidiary company in India. So these previously is Oppo and Vivo were considered to be a Chinese product, because now if you purchase this phone, you will find that it is made in India. Okay, so at least these companies have established their offices in India in order to have make in India approach. Okay, so it's like that. But at the same time, the main company, which is a main Oppo or main this Vivo, or you can say whatever company it is a Chinese company, and it is having its incorporation happened in China only. I hope the thing is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other doubt, Tushar?
No, sir.
Fine. So next is one man company and a company not for profit. We will be discussing in this. So one man company where one man holds practically the whole share capital of the company and takes a few more dummy members simply to meet the statutory requirements of the minimum number of persons. Such company is called one man company. One man company can now be incorporated under section 262 of the Companies Act 2013. In such a company, the principal shareholder is a virtual owner running the business with a limited liability, and other members have even one share. So it can be one man company. Now even the one man company has more been clarified that it can have one nominee and one person who is operating the company can do all the things. So there can be, and he can himself be the key person now. So the definition has changed to some extent. Okay, so that person has to keep one nominee in the memorandum of association of the company. I told you to just download A, B, C, and D, and F, G, H, I, J also. Okay, so that you might have done. I don't know whether you have done it or not, but if you have not done it, please see the difference between the memorandum and articles of association of all these companies which are there. Okay, you will be able to learn a lot out of it, and then we will discuss certain things in the class itself if you are not able to understand those. Though I told Shreya to do it, but today we don't have time. Maybe in the next class we'll be doing it. Okay, so they are formed now. These companies which are not for profit. So these companies must obtain a license from the central government before they are registered. So after taking license, they can be registered as a companies not for profit at all. So they are limited. They are limited liability, but are not required to use the word limited or private limited in the at the end, because they have taken an exemption from the government to be registered as such. So companies which are not for profit, they need not to write limited or private limited at the end. So they are formed for promoting art, science, commerce, this sports, etc. So profits are applied towards its objective and cannot be distributed to the members of the company. So there will be no dividend declaration in such companies, and it enjoys certain exemptions, and on registrations also the fee is also less. Is you need not to pay any stamp duty on this memorandum and articles. It can be formed without any share capital also, and government can revoke the license of such companies anytime, right? So if they are not at all fulfilling the purpose for which they have been, it has been established, it can also be dissolved, or it can also be, it can also come to an end. Any question till now? Any question from anyone?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, regarding the domestic and foreign company,
Yes,
sir,
Tushar.
what if a company is incorporated in India, but
Uh-huh.
doing its operation outside India? So
Still, it
where
will
it
be
will be
a
placed?
where
Foreign or
beta,
domestic?
no. It will be a domestic company who is allowed to just do its business outside. For example, Tata Motors. Tata Motors
Yeah.
is a Indian company. Now it has
Yes.
taken over Jaguar. It has taken over recently. It took over one more this Land Rover and Range Rover. It has taken over.
Yes, sir.
So it is a Indian company, my dear, because it has been the roots are in India. It has been incorporated. Okay, you just take it like this. A person who borns in India is an Indian citizen.
Yes, sir.
And even if Indian citizen gives birth to someone else in Canada, So that the person who is taking birth in Canada will become a Canadian citizen by the virtue of the birth. So, and this incorporation or the registration of company itself is a birth of a company. I have told you yesterday, na?
Yes,
So
sir.
when a company is taking birth in India or when a company is registered in India, it will be an Indian company. And when the company is registering somewhere outside India, it will be a foreign company and it will belong to that particular country in which it has got registered. Very good question, Tushar. Yeah. Anyone, anything else?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Ashwin, you want to say something?
No, sir. I said thank you. That's all.
Okay, fine. So this is let us still we have some time for the class to be ended. So let us proceed further with the next topic, that is the capital and financing, because we are actually means a little bit late than the place where we should be. So this is something very important and very good. So capital and financing is actually related to the what will be the capital structure of the company and what are the various sources of finances, how the balance sheet is created. So from what are the funds which the company can have and it can, you know. So this is all related. So it is related to share and share capital. First, the thing is share and the share capital. So every company limited by share must have share capital. A share capital of the company refers to the amount invested in the company for carrying out its business operation. The share capital may be altered or increased subject to certain conditions. A company's share capital may be divided into small shares of different classes. The different classes of the share capital and the rights attached to these classes are different. So there are various types of shares you might be knowing. The most important two types of shares are preference shares and equity shares. So what is the nature of share? Share is an interest in the member in the company. Or if I ask you to define what is share, what the basic and the simplest uh, definition which is for share is that share is a share in the share capital of the company. Share is nothing but it is a share in the share capital of the company, which I have written over here. So share means share in the share capital of the company, and it also includes the stock. It represents the interest of the shareholders in the company, measured for the purpose of liability and dividend. For the purpose of liability, when the company is going to be wound up, and the purpose of dividend when the profits of the company are to be distributed. So it attaches various rights and liabilities to it. Okay. So share, debenture or other interest of any member in the company shall be a movable property because it can be transferred from one person to another. It shall be transferred in the manner provided for the articles of association of the company. So article of association actually provides that how the transfer of share can be deemed to be have completed, or how the company can transfer its shares from one member to other. So a member may transfer any other interest in the company in the manner provided in the articles. Okay, so it can transfer any other interest also. So section 60, right? 60 actually publications of authorized, subscribed and paid up capital. So according to section 60 of Companies Act 2013, where any notice, advertisement or other official publication or any business letter, etc. of a company contains a statement of the amount of authorized capital of the company, there such mentioned document shall also contain the amount of capital which has been subscribed and amount paid up. So whenever there is a statement, whenever it has to give a statement regarding the authorized capital, it has also to tell how much is the paid up capital of that company. If any default is made, there the company shall be liable to pay a penalty of 10,000 rupees, and every officer of the company who is in default shall be liable to pay a penalty of 5,000 rupees for each default. So wherever a company has to show its, or a company has to describe certain things about its authorized capital, it must also tell about the subscribed and the paid up capital, especially when they are going for a public issue. Okay, so points of comparison with respect to the new law is that this section of 2013 Act replaced the section 148 of publication of authorized as well as subscribed capital of the company in 1956 Act. So no difference in the provision, except the law fixed is that the penalty. So previously also the same thing was there. Now also the same thing is there. But if you do not comply with, then there is a penalty of 5,000 rupees for such default. So I will ask you, what is capital? What is capital of a company? Any one of you? What is capital? Capital means the share capital. That is capital in terms of rupees divided into specified number of shares of a fixed account. For example, if I have a company and I have opened a public private limited company with rupees 1 lakh, I can divide the private limited company's share maximum into 200 parts. Okay, because it can have maximum of 200 shares because it is a private limited company. So what will be the value of my each share? 200 people contributing in all rupees 1 lakh. How much will be the amount? So 500 will be the amount which each person will be contributed. 500 into how much? 200. It will become 1 lakh. Okay. So accordingly, each person contributing. Sorry, each person contributing. Okay, 200 people. Each person contributing 500, and there are 200 people. It will make 1 lakh. So each and every denomination of the share will be called a share, which is the amount is fixed. Okay. So capital in different senses. You know about nominal capital, issued capital, subscribed capital, called up capital, paid up capital. Okay. So what is nominal capital? Nominal capital is the authorized capital of the company, which is to be depicted in the memorandum of association. I told you yesterday that the company must have the authorized capital in the memorandum of association. The capital clause says that a company cannot issue any shares beyond the authorized or the nominal capital of the company. That is called nominal capital. Out of the nominal capital, how much amount the company has gone for, how much amount company has issued the shares in the public is called issued capital. For example, the nominal capital of a company can be, for example, suppose rupees 10 lakhs. So out of this 10 lakhs, the company has issued the shares worth rupees 5 lakhs to the general public. So issued capital will be 5 lakhs and nominal or the authorized capital will be 10 lakhs. So out of this issued capital, which the company has issued to the general public, the public has subscribed only for 4 lakh rupees. Okay, so that will be the subscribed capital. On this 4 lakh rupees, the company has called only, you can say, 3 lakh rupees. Okay, so 75 rupees per share the company might have to be calling for. So it will make about 75% of the total. So 4 lakh is the total, so 75% will be 3 lakh. So 3 lakh will be the called up capital. Now this is what the company has called. Out of the called up capital, what actually people have paid will be called the paid up capital, and remaining will be calls in arrears, which you have been accounting for in your 12th class also, and you will be studying this in your current class also. Okay, so this is, so meaning of share we have already, yeah.
The nominal cap can be changed by the company, no?
Yes, my dear. Nominal capital can be changed. For example, I have exhausted with this 10 lakhs. I have now I need some more capital in order to acquire some other company or in order to do my business in a better way. So what I will do, I have first to change my memorandum of association, will file the resolution to the registrar of companies. Registrar of companies will register my memorandum of association and will intimate me, and then I can issue my further capital. So I can increase, and I have to increase first my nominal capital. Then only I can ask the public to subscribe for it or ask the public to give the money for it. Okay, so it has to be increased, and it can, and even the other clauses also can be changed. Other clauses of the memorandum of association can also be changed. Okay. So I hope I have cleared your doubt, Tushar.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So now there are kinds of shares. So section 43 of the Companies Act 2013 permits a company limited by shares to issue two classes of shares: equity shares with voting rights and with differential rights as to dividend, and preference shares. So these are the mota moti. If you see, there are two types of shares: equity shares and preference shares. Now what are equity shares? Equity shares are those shares which are not the equity shares are those shares which are not preference shares. That in Act it is given like the definition is like that. Those shares which are not preference shares are equity shares. Now, what are preference shares? Preference shares are those shares which are having two preferences. What? Number one, to receive dividend prior to equity shareholders, and number two, preference of redemption of the capital at the time of winding up. So preference shares have, as the name suggests, is having two preferences over equity shares. Number one, preference regarding dividend, that it will be getting dividend first before it is given to equity shareholders. At the same time, second thing they have is that they get the redemption of their capital prior to the equity shares at the time of winding up. So now there can be, you can write the difference between preference share capital and equity share capital. So this will be your assignment. There are only, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 differences given. There can be more differences also. So you have to write the differences between preference shares and equity shares. So this is an assignment for all of you. Right, between equity shares and okay. So you have to write the differences. Let me see how many differences you can write on this. So here 5 differences are there. Okay, so preference shares are entitled to a fixed rate of dividend, whereas equity shares are entitled to whatever is remaining. So normally the equity shares, it is the equity shares who are actually dealt in the stock exchange. Their value fluctuates. Why? Because the return on those shares may also fluctuate. So preference is dividend on the preference shares is paid preference to the equity share, whereas dividend on the equity share is paid after paying preference shares. So payment of capital in case of winding up, preference shares are having preference to receive the payment at the time of winding up, whereas equity shares are paid after the payment has been made to preference shares at the time of winding up. Right shares, so no bonus shares and right shares are issued to the preference shares because they are having a fixed denomination. They already have a preference. But in case of equity share, the company may issue right shares or bonus share to the existing shareholders. So next is redemption. Preference share can be redeemed by the company. Equity shares normally are not redeemed by the company because if the company will redeem the equity shares, there will be nothing left with the company for to do its business. But preference shares are redeemable maximum for 20 years. So it can be issued for 20 years. So no preference shares can be issued for more than 20 years. And if it is issued, then from 1988, it has to be redeemed as soon as possible. And after 1996, the companies can, 1998 and onwards, the companies cannot issue irredeemable preference shares. So this period of redemption previously was only 5 years in 1988, which was increased to 20 years in 1996. Okay, so this is about preference shares and equity shares. Now, next is what is a share premium? Share premium, when the company issues the shares at a premium, then what happens? It can either issued at a premium or for at par and at discount also. So section 52(1) states that when a company issues shares at premium, whether for cash or otherwise, the sum equal to aggregate amount of premium received on those shares shall be transferred to securities premium account. So when the company is issuing the shares or your company is selling the shares at a value more than its face value, then the more than its then it will be called as a share premium. Okay, so more than the nominal value of the company is issuing the shares, then it will be called as a, you can say, the company will be said to have issued shares on premium. When the issue price is less than the face value, then it is said that it is issued at discount. When the issue price is more than the face value, then it is said it is at premium. So whenever the company issues the shares at premium, the extra money which the company is receiving must be transferred to security premium account, and there are restrictions on use of the security premium also. Okay, so utilization of premium, there is a restriction. So section 52(2) actually determines what are the restriction on the utilization of security premium account. It can be used only for these four purposes. Number one, for writing of the balance of the preliminary expenses of the company, because both the profits are capital in nature. So one capital profit can actually set off the other capital loss. So preliminary expenses are the capital loss, which these are the fictitious assets on the asset side of the balance sheet of the company, and security premium can be used in order to write off these expenses. Next is writing off commission paid or discount allowed or expenses incurred on issue of shares and debentures of the company. So this is also one of the you can say fictitious assets which is developed at the time of issue of shares at discount by the company. So such expenses or such discount can also be set off using your security premium account. Third is for providing a premium payable on redemption of any redeemable preference shares. Suppose, for example, you want to issue you have already issued some preference shares and now you want to redeem those preference shares and you want to redeem it on premium. So redemption at premium is you are paying something more than what the people have or the subscribe for. So at that time, for example, a preference share is of ₹100. After 10 years, because you have issued the preference shares to be redeemed after 10 years, at the time of redemption, now you are paying the shareholders ₹110, though you have taken ₹100 from him, and you are now redeeming it at premium of 10. So this extra ₹10 you can take from the security premium account. Next is for the purchase of its own shares or other securities under section 68. So when the company buybacks its shares from the market, then also this amount can be utilized from this account as such. So now there is a prohibition. Previously, there was no prohibition on issue of shares at discount, except that you cannot issue shares on discount for more than 10% of its value. Secondly, a company must at least complete 1 year of its you can say incorporation. Before that, the company cannot go for issue of shares at discount. So section 53 states that except as provided in section 54, that is issue of sweat equity. So sweat equity shares is not covered under this. Okay, because sweat equity shares are actually normally issued at discount only, because that is something which is in return of the sweat which the people have actually gone for. Okay, so sweat equity shares is totally different. So except sweat equity shares, a company shall not issue a share at a discount. Any share issued by the company at a discounted price shall be void. When the company contravenes the provisions of this act, the company shall be punishable with a fine which shall not be less than 1 lakh rupees, but which may be extended to 5 lakh rupees. So previously, what the companies used to do in under the 1956 Act and before 2013, companies used to issue the shares at discount, and they used to run away with the money of the public. Because in public also they get befooled that the company is issuing the shares at discount, let us take it, and then afterwards company vanishes. So there is a restriction, total restriction under the Companies Act 2013 for issue of shares at discount, and if it is found, then there is a penalty of 1 lakh rupees. So next is about your issue of sweat equity shares, and how much is the time now remaining with us. Now we have actually going to finish it off. It's already 2. You are having further classes also. So I will stop here. We will take this issue of equity shares from tomorrow and onward, because this topic is a little bit remaining. So we will take it tomorrow. Okay, from here and onwards.
Sir,
Hope it is okay. Yeah.
sir, discounted shares issue is prohibited in Companies Act 2013. Hello?
Sorry, my dear, I'm back. Sorry, I just it got off. Yeah, please tell me. Who is this? Tushar, you were asking something, discount or what?
No, sir.
Somebody was asking something at the time when I left. Anyone? Any question? Please ask if you are having any doubt. You will not be able to understand otherwise. Come on. Fine. So let me take the attendance. So Asta Khandelwal, Abhigyan Gupta, Aditya, Ankit, Arpan Mishra, Ashutosh Marshi, Ashmit, Ayush, Ritik, Ishpreet, Janvi, Jamima, Karan Agarwal, Kaushal Agarwal, Lakshya, Naman Jain, Naveen, Navya Singh, Neha Singh, Preetam, Priyanshi, Sambhav, Sanya, Sarvansh, Subhash Yadav, Shahid Chauhan, Shara Khan, Shreya, Tushar, Vanshika, Vatsal, and Yashwardhan. So, thank you for today's class, and I will see you in the next class tomorrow. So I have already given you an assignment. So please do that assignment and submit it. So whatever assignment I have given you till date will be collected at the end of this week and will be assessed accordingly. Okay. So thank you all.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
sir.
And
sir.
have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.